Let me go.
Dome. Are we 5x5? Are we lagging? It is not Friday. It is Saturday. Now, if you're really hungover, it still could be your Friday. I don't know. I'm just trying to see if there's... We're trying to do a garage show, goddammit. And it's supposed to be every Friday night, but now it's Saturday morning. You know why we're coming? Let's see. What time is it right now? It is almost 11 o'clock in the morning, Los Angeles time, broadcasting from the Foxhole in Minden, Nevada. Foxhole Studios in Minden, Nevada. Doing a garage show. If you're hungover and your night hasn't ended, it's still technically Friday, so we're right on time and right on schedule. 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning for you Gen Xers means one thing. What does that mean? It means Saturday morning cartoons are over. And it's time for the garage show. I waited. You saw the Slee Stack come and go with Land of the Lost. You saw Wonderbug fly through the air. And the Buggles and all that. We're done. We're done. Saturday morning cartoons are over. It's time now to begin. Are you ready? Ready, set, go. Now, I know we had problems before. Last time we tried to do, and I'm going to explain this real quick. We tried to do the garage show. A lot of lagging, a lot of pixelating, a lot of problems. 100% Streamlabs, you fuckers. And everyone's go to OBS. I know OBS and Streamlabs, same thing. OBS is a little bit tougher to do. An old guy like this, old dog, new tricks. I will probably try to learn OBS because it's familiar, but we did have problems. We did run a speed test. We thought it might be the Foxhole Studios and their internet connection. We had an amazing up and download speed. So no. Not collectively sharing and node fucking things up. No, it wasn't. So for those of you that are new, those of you watching this live, you're watching the rerun, as we used to say in Gen X terminology. The garage show isn't specific to anything. You guys want to talk about a specific tool? There's guys that do. They're so brilliant. You want me to do cam phasers on an EcoBoost Ford? Why? This guy's way better at it, more in depth. I'm not doing that shit. We try to keep things lighthearted here. We try to keep things basic. Keep them simple. Rudimentary is the $12 word of the day. Rudimentary. We look at everything through the brain and the lens of Generation X, and we just keep some common sense. We share some stuff with you that we find fun and interesting. We bring in some old tools from back in the day. We just talk about them. A lot of you guys have specific questions. I did not bring the whiteboard today. Next time we'll have the whiteboard. And I just explain things. My background is in automotive, but a lot like you guys, I do a lot of stuff around the house. So do I know basic electrical? Sure. Basic plumbing, of course. Basic welding? Yes. We just touch on some things like that are fun and creative, and we just dick around and we have a good time. At 11 o'clock, we officially are allowed to begin drinking because both of our wives are here. And yes, we do have another guest for you. While we're at the Foxhole Studios, we have a Sun Valley Fox present. And why? Because every week we try to do one... Goddamn.
Sorry, I'm still picking up from the barbecue. I'm sorry I'm late.
That was aluminum cans. Fucking aluminum cans.
That way I can pay the $1 to be a member.
Just sit fucking still. God damn it. I promised you every week we'd have some old tools. Well, today I brought the nicest old tool I know. Sun Valley Fox. If there's a better old tool, I'm not sure what it is. But we have we got Gen X Mom working. She's got a microphone. She's working the sheets over there. Now, what this means is we do have some moderators on the platforms. If you guys have questions, ask it in your comment section. If you're on YouTube, if you're on X, if you're wherever we're broadcasting on, and the moderators copy and paste it, put it in the sheets. To your left, my right, is Gen X Mom in between the sheets, which is where you want this particular individual, I promise you. And she's reading the Google Sheets back to me. She's got a microphone. We're doing a thing. And we have something different that we're trying today, too. Look at what we're trying here. Let's see. Not the garage show that, the garage show this. We'll put the garage show back up there, let you guys know what we're doing. But we went to the trouble of doing some different camera angles. This is the main camera angle here. Now, look, you're going to have to step into frame. I know this is new. Look at that right there. So that's out of frame for you. Everything else is in frame. And that way, the Sun Valley Fox has questions and answers, and we can get going. Now, before we... Okay. One of us is a trained broadcast professional. Can you tell which one? I'm sure you can. Now, you don't have to look at the camera. You just have to here, act normal. Wait.
That was normal.
Don't act normal. Pretend you're somebody else. All right. So what we want to do is let's go between the sheets right here. The Sun Valley Fox is here. He is the patriarch of our family, which means he's the old guy of the group. And he is the older brother of my wife, Gen X Mom, your queen. This is her older brother. This is my brother-in-law. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever had the privilege of hanging out with. So when I bring him on, not only is there comedy, but you're going to get some honesty about some things back in generations that you and I weren't privy to. This is some stuff that's gone on before and some wisdom that even I get. And you guys think I know everything? Not even close. I'm telling you, I pick up pearls of wisdom from this cat all the time. But his baby's...
Thank you, General. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. And your younger baby sister is over there fucking everything up on the sheets. Gen X Mom, is there anything to talk about, or should I just get to it?
I have a few things.
Well, get going, girl.
TikTok is checking in with some gifts for you. You got, what do we got? We have a number, I became the number 20 fan in the fan club, Mace.
Far out.
You have a heart. Mary Mistretta on YouTube is saying, hello, handsome General.
Thank you, Mary.
Wolfie on YouTube says, be interesting to hear what the General talks about. I hope it's real.
Oh, yeah. Going to be 100% real. No fake stuff here.
We have Michael Bohr starting out with a question from TikTok.
Let's start with a question. I'm ready.
What's your favorite big block motor?
That would be for both of us. Let's take those in stride. And I'm going to say big block. It's kind of funny. I just stumbled across a TikTok thing today that talked about, I'm going to say, was it a 343? Was the first GM big block put in 1968. Suburban was part of their four-wheel drive package. I know that 343, I think that's what it was the first big block in the 60s.
So I have a question for you then.
Yes, sir.
What is considered a big block? What designates a big block?
Well, that's a good question, because it's not cubic inch displacement.
Okay.
Because there are some small blocks that can be bored out, they can be punched out and have some big... A big block is a bigger block. It's got thicker... terminology for a mechanic, I'd say there's thicker meat in the bores so you can expand them.
Okay.
But a big block is a physically bigger dimension block.
Okay.
I mean, if you put a small block Chevy and a big block Chevy side by side, even though they're both V8s, they both have the same... A lot of them have the same degree, of rotation for the crank and the pistons.
Right.
The big block is a bigger motor. It's physically a more imposing piece of metal.
And why is that?
Because you can bore them out bigger.
Is that the only reason, just boring it out bigger?
Well, everything gets bigger with size. You get bigger ports in and out for intake. You can put bigger heads on them. It gives you more in and out for the fuel. But the idea is, and there's people that are small block fans, and I just deal with small blocks. They're easier, they're lighter, you can do stuff, but you can only go so far with them.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you a statement, and this is one of the most heated statements I've ever been in with street mechanics. Now, street mechanics, now listen to me. And boy, you guys are going to throw me under the fucking bus with this. But an old timer one time, his name was Jeff Fox. He really just a little bit older than me. But everybody older than me is an old man. Everybody younger than me is a kid. You follow along? Good. Glad you're coming with me on that one. Now, we're sitting around. Jeff Fox was a character. Jeff Fox was a product of the 70s. I want to say he was your age, passed away with a heart condition. But Jeff Fox was 7'2". Jeff Fox always looked like he just walked out of a poster from 1973. Jeff Fox was 7'1" or 7'2", and he had long, straight blonde hair down to the middle of his back. And that's how he lived his life. He was a very imposing person, and he had cronies sitting around him all the time. You ever see guys in the San Fernando Valley where you and I grew up, and they got garages of guys just hanging out.
Right.
They put couches in there. They got posters of women's asses everywhere, and he had an old desk in the back in the corner where he would sit, and the cronies would sit everywhere else.
Okay.
And one time they're talking about stuff, and I'm a kid. I'm hanging out over there at 11 and 12 years old because this motherfucker had stacks of Playboys and Hustlers. I mean, stacks and stacks and stacks. And he lived next to my grandparents on Tuna Canyon Road. And that fucking guy, and he didn't care. And he protected me because these cronies would always give me shit. And he's like, don't fuck with the kid, because he liked me. He was older, but he knew me. Anyway, one day they're talking about which cars are faster and what can you do and make your car faster, and people do all sorts of trick things out that you can bore something out to a bigger size, you can add a turbo, you can add a supercharger, you can do nitrous. And Jeff one day, and this is the part you guys are going to kick the shit out of me for, Jeff one day says, all things being equal, you can't beat cubic inch displacement. Oh my God. Oh yeah, well I got a fucking Honda, 4-cylinder Honda, a VTEC that'll smoke your fucking Barracuda. Okay. Lighter car. Okay, that's one. That's not equal.
Right.
You put you have a VTEC cam advance on yours. That's not equal. You put a turbo on yours. That's not equal. But make your car as heavy as the Barracuda. Put a turbo on the make it equal. Cubic inch displacement will always win because it's a bigger motor. It breathes faster. You can't explain that to some people. When you say pound for pound, dollar for dollar, all things being equal, you cannot beat cubic inch displacement. And God, the people will light you up about that. But back to the question, my favorite big block, I just was mentioning about, I just reading about that early big block in four-wheel drive from Chevy. But I would say my favorite big block, my favorite one to work with, play around with, would be big block Chevy 454. However, if I had my druthers, I worked on one time with an old timer in Acton, California, way back in the hills in Acton. This old boy had a mobile home and a garage and some stuff, and he had a '68 Ford Ranchero, and he had a big block 429 Super Cobra jet. And it wasn't tricked out, it wasn't even painted. He just pulled it out of a junkyard, sat on it for 20 years, and it wouldn't fit in the car because the distributor in the back of the Ford was hitting his firewall. It wasn't designed to fit in there.
Right.
It's a true story. You know what this old boy did? He sat there, I'm working this jack, I'm 19, I'm raising the motor, lower the motor, set the motor down on the mounts, didn't fit, would break the distributor cap. So you know what he does? Pull it back out. This little boy gets in there with a ball peen hammer and starts beating the fucking shit out of his firewall.
Modify.
He goes, set the motor back in again. So I lowered the thing. No, God damn it. And he beat that thing. And I had, with two things. One was an appreciation for that guy because we did get it to run. And then another friend of mine that I knew through a church out in LA Baptist, he put one in a boat. And, just carbureted. But if my druthers would be the 429s, the big blocks, and the other one, 454 is the more common one that I enjoyed working on. Those were a lot of fun to make run smooth and powerful.
Good.
But you didn't answer.
Oh, I was just asking questions.
Oh, all right. Gen X Mom.
Well,
loud one. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all right. He's moving on. He runs the show. And
Okay, what's your favorite big block? Sun Valley Fox, what's your favorite big block?
I only had really one per se, and it was a 460 in my Ford.
Yeah. Car,
250.
truck.
It was a truck.
Truck, yeah.
Yeah, it was 83 Ford.
My
truck.
dad had a 390. And he used to laugh because I couldn't figure out how come he could beat my Mustang off the line. My dad would race me off the line. But he had a big block, and he's geared low. He's coming off the line. Now, you want to go 120, I'll win.
Yeah, you'll go
But
right by
I
him.
couldn't figure out how come he could always beat my Mustang off the line. He had a big block with he had a big 390 in there and another Ford truck, much like yours. And he just looked at me and go, you ain't going to beat me to cross the finish line here.
Yeah, the only problem I had with that is next to the speedometer. Oh wait, it was the gas gauge. The speedometer was the gas gauge. That's right.
Yeah,
It was
you can tell how fast you're going by how the fuel gauge drops.
Absolutely.
You put your foot in the carburetor, and that's 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallon.
That's right.
And for those of you who don't know what I just said, foot in the carburetor. I used to tell my wife that. I go, you need to slow down. Quit driving with your foot in the carburetor. Do you know how many people did not know what I was talking about?
That's true.
Hundreds, thousands.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Put your foot in the carburetor. First, what's a carburetor? And did you had to operate the carburetor with your foot? Yeah, kinda.
That's right.
We weren't fucking around. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Loud one is checking in on YouTube for $5.
Yeah.
No replacement for displacement.
There.
If they wanna run boost for boost, I'll run my Camaro with any street car. Go the big block Chevy.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. And I've been saying it for 10 damn years. Anything else, Gen X Mom? Anybody want to argue with me about cubic inch displacement? Because I'm ready to go, baby. You're getting into my area now.
Wayne on TikTok, it's like all these new V6 full-size trucks, they have to downshift at the slightest breeze or uphill.
Yeah. They got EcoBoosts that are 4 cylinders, or 6 cylinders, V6s, in these trucks. They'll put them in a 3/4 or a half-ton truck.
Right.
And you can't get up a hill without going into first gear and just taking half an hour to get there. Gen X Mom with her hand in the air.
James over on Facebook, where is the cutoff between a small versus big block?
There's not. I've seen small block displacements bigger than big block. If you have a stock big block, you can have a 396 big block. You can have a 400 small block. Its displacement is what it allows you. There's no cutoff. It doesn't. It's a fair question though. Like for someone to ask, like, well, you know, the displacement of 250 to 396 is small block, and from 400 on is big block. But it's not like that.
Right.
There is a lot of overlap by how you build an engine. Just so you know, there's no. That's not how they're. That's not how they're rated. This isn't the alphabet where you go A through Q, you know, and then, you know, R through Z. That's just not how it happens. Just so you know.
Well, wouldn't that have some? Sorry, wouldn't
No.
that have something more to do with cooling too? Obviously, you take small to bore, more cubic. Now you're gonna might have an issue with cooling.
Well, the big blocks they're matched. If you have a small block, the small block cooling system is set to accommodate the heat that it'll develop.
Right.
Big block has the ports and the fluid, and you really can't change much internally on the fluid passageways. There's guys that paint the inside so that coolant goes by faster, it's smoother, but then there's also guys who say painting it keeps in the heat. It doesn't dissipate because you've coated the iron.
That's true. That's true.
And the other part of that too is that people think, I learned this the hard way about a cooling system. I had a 59 Ford pickup truck that had a 312 Thunderbird motor in it. And I took out the thermostat because I thought the water pump would push that fluid through faster. It'd go through the radiator faster, super cool, everything.
Right.
And some old guy, started, and I don't even tell you the story how this fucking guy got in my truck, and I'm driving him around Sunland, Tahunga.
Okay.
And he lived back there. For anybody who knows that area.
Hey,
And
he was hitching a ride.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And he told me, he goes, you got to have a thermostat in to slow the water down, or it doesn't have time to take the heat away. It goes by too quickly. And I said, no, a thermostat restricts the flow. Restriction creates heat, and that's wrong. And he goes, you're absolutely full of shit. Yeah, I'm 17. This guy's like in his 60s, and he didn't know a lot of shit, but he fucking was right about that. I just didn't know it at the time. So,
Right. Okay.
yeah, cooling systems, yay and nay. There you go. What else?
Loud one for $5. Driving a big block isn't about miles per gallon, it's how many smiles per gallon.
There you go. Yeah. That's one thing that people don't understand. It's like one of the things that is going to, there's lots of reasons that electric vehicles will never take over. Not for another 100 years. Maybe they will at some point. But what they don't get, especially our generations, is that you like the feel of that vehicle.
Absolutely.
You like the sound of the exhaust. I don't want to fucking drive a sewing machine around town. I make fun of people who ride Honda motorcycles because so many of them are detuned and they sound like a fucking lawnmower or a sewing machine. Americans like that sound, that feel, that rumble. I'm sorry.
Well, you're trying to make a statement. That's what it is.
Sure.
You go down the road and you want to just rattle the whole house.
Here's something I guarantee you this motherfucker's done in his life, and I don't care if he denies it. He
Wow,
can't
he's
deny it.
pointy.
I promise you, when you had one of those vehicles and growing up in the valley and we'd go under a tunnel, tell me you didn't gun it to make it louder even in the tunnel.
I'm going to tell you, I didn't gun it.
Bullshit.
Because you just told me.
You
told me you didn't do it. I
You
just
did
told
too. You're one of those guys. You guys go under, it's loud, but boy, you get under a tunnel, everybody's going to know it.
That's right.
You got 8 seconds. Yes, Gen X Mom.
Tim on TikTok, as a piston guy, it's complicated. Bore size, deck heights, bore spacing, many variables.
Yeah, who's that?
Tim on TikTok.
He's a real guy because that's right.
He knows.
There's a lot of things that come into play with that. Just like that one time, I brought this up before, and I think I mentioned it to you. I took my ASC test for engine building, and I missed one question. Lost a bet with the old timers of the dealership because they show you a picture of a tool, or they did back then.
Right.
And I didn't know what the tool was. And I came back and showed it to the guys that I lost the bet with, the old timers in the dealership, and they're like, and this goes along with what Tim just said on TikTok. He goes, that's a ridge reamer. I go, what the fuck is a ridge reamer? He goes, well, the pistons don't go all the way to the top of the deck, so they wear out below it. So the top, little quarter-inch or whatever, that doesn't ever get any wear. That bore diameter stays the same. The piston wears out below it. And I'm like, how the fuck would I know that? I've never run into an engine that did that. All the engines that I've ever had, and that's what he's talking about. Deck height, piston travel. There's a lot of things that go in that. And that particular one fucked me up on my ASC and cost me 7 lunches. There were 7 old timers that gave me this, here's what we want for lunch. And I'm 21 taking this test. I'm the hot shot at the dealership doing drivability. These are the old timers doing shit. And they're ordering steak sandwiches and shit. You want to talk about a kid who had a short paycheck that month? It was me. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Loud one again for $5. Proline makes a 484 small block that most of the no prep guys run in drag racing.
Yeah. Okay. So can you imagine how thin a small block? You got pistons that can get to a certain size to give you that cubic inch displacement. They fucking got to be right next to each other.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, they really do.
Yeah. I wonder how many they blow.
I don't know. How do you if you got that much displacement in a small block, how do you get the heat out of it? I mean, my God.
Yeah. Unless they run maybe a different type of coolant.
I got something maybe you don't know that.
I don't know a lot of things anyway.
Well, all I gotta do is find one of them.
You're way ahead of me.
Friend of mine named Stuart used to build when I was like 16. He used to listen to K Earth 101 all night long and Wolfman Jack, and we'd stay up in the summertime, and I'd learn from him building. He built flatheads.
Okay.
And he would take the flatheads and he'd put pennies in them in certain places to help change the direction of the coolant flow. And on the front of the motor, if you've seen old flathead V8s, Ford flathead V8s, they had 2 pulleys on them because they had 2 water pumps for each side of the motor. And I didn't know that. I'm learning how that goes. And
right.
He goes, they're not super effective, and you usually can't build flatheads for a lot of power. But, for nostalgia, there's almost nothing better.
Right.
I mean, they fucking look great.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I noticed was kind of cool when Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man, and he's working on that hot rod, and he pulls off the head. It's an old flathead. He's not doing it for speed. That's an old fin flathead V8, and I'm like, fucking A. But there's fewer and fewer people every year that remember those things.
Right.
It just is. It's a state of
Well,
mind.
I think Mama X talked about it. Dad had a Chevy, 63 Chevy, which was a flathead. And
Really?
It was a 283. It was a 283. So,
Hey.
Yeah, I wish I would have worked on that. The carburetor was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 inches in diameter.
This is what I don't understand about you guys too. You guys had these big motors back in the day, and I open up the hood, and there's a big fucking air cleaner on it, this big around.
That's right.
And you lift it off, and the carburetor's like it's an old Stromberg.
That's
You
right.
got a Stromberg carburetor with
Yep.
It's like, how the fuck do you get enough air to run this thing?
That's right. I couldn't even spit in that carburetor.
No.
It was so small.
Gen
You
X
know?
Mom, over in the corner.
Loud One's checking in again for $5. The block is full custom, that small one that he's talking about, and uses a 4.8-inch bore space from memory. They run on methanol, so cooling isn't an issue. Plus, there is no water galleries.
What do you mean cooling isn't an issue? So the car doesn't.
Don't talk to me.
The car doesn't explode gasoline with a spark plug. Doesn't create any heat. Cooling's not an issue.
It's an electric vehicle, right?
Oh, yeah, it must be. Okay, that
that's
makes
what it
sense.
is.
An electric
Okay.
big block. Yeah, okay. I'm on board now. Sure. Or do we have some magic gasoline that burns cold? That's unique. Loud One, I know you're from Tasmania. I know everything's backwards. I know that when you were a stripper back in there and you stand with the Australian thunder from down under, you twirled your junk the opposite direction. I got you, my man. But on this, what the fuck are you even talking about?
Where's a pen or something? I poke my eyes out. That's
Sorry,
a
that
lot.
memory's there and you ain't getting rid of it.
God.
Tim on TikTok says those water pumps were also the engine mounts.
No, I don't think so. Water pumps in the flathead were the engine mounts. I don't recall that. They were in the front. I don't think that was the case, but there were engines that had a center mount in the front of them. Very rare, but I don't recall that, sir. Yes. No.
Wolfie is saying performance pistons now are forged. The power goal determines what metal they're made from.
Say that again?
Performance or pistons now are forged. The power goal determines what metal they're made from.
Okay.
We moving on?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I just don't know enough about that. I haven't built a motor in a long time.
Loud One says it runs on methanol, LOL, and they only run for under 6 seconds as at wide open throttle.
You still gotta fucking warm up the engine before you hit the track. What the fuck, man? Okay, I'm gonna stop what we're doing and go to something we started to do last night. Now, I'm gonna show you guys something here. How many of you know what this tool's for? This is an automotive tool. Lots of mechanics have this. Drivability guys would have this more than others, per se. It's rubber. It's flexible. It's got a grip on here. You can't really tell, but it's a hard rubber grip. This is really hard, and I'm not going to spicoli this thing against my head just so you can hear it. No. And then it's got a hole in the end here. I'm going to pass this over to Sun Valley Fox. We'll go to a widescreen in a second. There's one. We'll let Sun Valley Fox look at that. But here's another one. Same tool. Hole in the end on there. There's actually 2 different sizes there, and it does the same thing. It's flexible. Does anybody have any idea what these tools are? Before we get to relax, calm your tits over there. Before we get going on
Calmer
this.
than you are, dude.
That's a Lebowski poll. So, Sun Valley Fox, do you have a guess on what these tools are for?
I do, but I don't want to really.
Oh, come on now. We're all friends here. Have another swig of that beer and just say it.
It might be a little uncomfortable.
That's what this is used for. Being uncomfortable.
For those of you who don't know, my wife just said, well, whatever that tool's for, it might make you a little uncomfortable during use. What do you think? No, it's not. Don't smell it.
Could it be for, and I'm just guessing, retrieving bolts or something that gets stuck or you're pulling it out?
Well, let's see what Gen X Mom has to say from the comment section. Anybody?
YouTube is checking in with multiple answers as spark plug puller or remover.
There no other answers? Is that YouTube's collective thought?
A siphon?
Not a siphon.
Snow sniffer?
Not a snow sniffer. Not for cocaine.
For engine work?
Well, duh. That's like to say it's an automotive tool. Did I win the prize?
Spark plug getter outer?
Spark plug getter outer. Well, I want to know who said that.
That is Tomas.
He's right.
Spark plug starter?
Well, yeah.
That's on James on Facebook said.
That's actually the most accurate description. It is for spark plugs. It's not really to retrieve them because your socket has a rubber insert that pulls it out. When you take the spark plug out, it comes out with the tool, you're good. This one is for starting a spark plug in a very difficult place. You can take this one's a little easier, and you can bend and get it in and get it started where your fingertips can't reach, because there are some. Okay. There's also some that are very far down inside. And guys will start them, they'll start the threads way down inside the spark plug tube with a socket. And it's really easy to cross thread it, and then you're fucked.
Oh, yeah.
But this will never cross thread because this will skip. It'll strip on this part way before it ever strips the metal. So that's...
Shy is saying bathtub drain remover.
Yeah. Shy, no. But see, now you have someone like Shy in here.
Sorry.
So you want to make sure that you get things correctly for Shy. So for Shiloh, who's on staff, we have these two things right here. And these are actually male and female tools. And this one, the smooth one, is for the men. This one clearly is ribbed for her pleasure. So no matter how you use these, Shiloh Ferguson, on staff here at Gen X Talks, I want you to know there is a difference. And if you like, I have lots of these. I can send you a couple, and you can figure it out on your own. If you choose to use it in the bathtub, that's completely at your discretion.
Dale Wine on Facebook is saying a spitball shooter.
No, it's not. They're not hollow, goddammit. Anyway, so that was the deal. Now, we'd like to introduce a new segment to the program.
Dun, dun,
something
dun.
We haven't done before. Something that we talked about the other day. And as you know, Sun Valley Fox, briefly explain your background, your experience, and what you settled in as a career.
What's it called? Does it have a name? Somebody TikTok is asking. Is there a name for that tool, or is that the specific thing? Spark plug.
I don't know that I knew what it was, and I went to the Snap-on truck and said, "Give me that set." I don't know if this it is a tool to start a spark plug starting tool. So you don't cross-thread them, and they're very necessary, and they're a very good gift, and you should get some for your boyfriend or husband if he fucks around with motorcycles, lawnmowers, or engines. It's not a bad thing to have, and they're inexpensive. But I don't know what they're technically called. I never read the box. It's just fucking
spark plug starters?
Yeah, tore off the wrapper and went away. Took off. You know?
Okay. All right.
Well,
kind of like condoms. I don't know who they're made by. You tear off the wrapper and get going.
Ouch.
James on Facebook says this Saturday show is better than my college football.
Far out. We don't mean to be
What
competing.
game is he watching?
I guess it does all depend on the game.
Okay, yeah, it does.
All right, so we're going to introduce a new segment here. Sun Valley Fox, give them a background on the profession you kind of settled in on and what you did for a living for years.
It's funny because I try to explain it to my kids and they have no idea what I did. Anyway, I just use a general term, machinist.
Okay.
But how I got started was I went to college, and I used to like to watch the girls play volleyball and drink, and that was my career for quite a while. Anyway,
does that pay very well?
It sure did.
I wasn't
in more ways than one. It wasn't cash, but anyway.
I never got that option. My career counselor never said that was it. I led the list of stuff, and maybe I just wasn't qualified.
Volleyball drinking.
Volleyball
Yes,
drinking beer
absolutely.
is wow.
I got a degree in that. Well, I think I got a master's degree. Anyway, so After not going to college, Dad said, you need to go find something to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, a neighborhood kid real quick was looking for a summer job, and there was a machine shop that was looking for somebody to be an apprentice. And that was in 1974.
All right.
And I'd never seen a mill before, or a lathe. That's a piece of equipment that they use for machining metals. Anyway, the rest is history. And I started out actually as what they call a wax investment mold maker. So what you had to do, and this was during the heyday of like the B-1 bomber and some of the aerospace things, we would build a mold, but the mold would have to be in reverse of what the part would look like.
Right.
So you had to think backwards.
Did they give you something to operate with, or did you have to do it from specs?
Blueprint.
No.
Yeah, we had blueprints. And
They didn't give you a piece and go, make a mold to this and make us more. They gave you a drawing.
yes, they gave you a drawing, but you had to think in reverse.
Good
so
God.
What it was whatever is solid is hollow,
Yeah.
whatever is hollow is solid in the mold, and that's what it was. But that's how I started in the machining industry.
Beyond
I
me.
did that for 18 years. And then I did other things for the next.
But you would say that
40 years.
everything
30
was
years.
pertaining in the bulk of your career was around machine work.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I got you.
Yeah.
So that brings us, you guys already know my basic background was general automotive repair. So in these two areas of our expertise, if you will, he is going to give me the name of a tool or a procedure or something that has to do with machine work. I have to, if I know what it is, or I have to make up an answer and see how close I get to what he's describing, because I don't know his area. I'm going to come up with something from automotive and see if he can identify it or answer it. And as usual, as the audience, you guys can play along. We want to hear what your answers are.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I have something real quick.
You do.
Let
All
me
right.
step aside.
Oh my God.
Ow.
Hold on. I gotta tighten up my bootstraps here for
It's
this.
show and tell. Do you remember show and tell?
I do. Like romper room.
Uh-oh. What do we got?
Well, let me do this because it's close up. They're going to want to see this. So let me do this. All right, we'll do a little close up here feature for you guys. Not a great camera angle, but I'm going to show you what he has brought. And there's this. And just so you guys know, this is very light. It feels like it's aluminum.
Correct.
And
You got one answer correct.
Okay.
All right, you're
this
on a roll.
aluminum. And this other one right here, this is obviously some sort of a tool, but it's got a flat spot in it. Like I'm going to say that some sort of a bolt or a sleeve or a set so it holds it in place so it doesn't.
That's close. Yeah, that's close.
And I don't know what this is, but I'm sure you're going to ask me.
Be very careful on this one. This is the same thing as what you just held, but it's very sharp. It's brand new, so
Don't cut off a finger.
yeah, don't cut your fingers
Wow,
off.
it is sharp. I can feel it.
Yeah, it's really,
So
really
he's
sharp.
handed me 3 objects. And what is the questions? Just so
The question is, all these kind of work together, and there's a reason why these are made the way they are, because that.
Put that back. I don't want to lose that. And I'll hold these. I'm going to hold these up again.
Yes.
I guess one of the questions is going to be, what is the name of this? I'm sure he's going to want me to
Correct.
know that.
That is correct.
And how would this type of a tool work creating this?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
I don't know the name of this, but I think I've seen this tool spinning and cutting across surfaces.
That is exactly right.
I don't know the machine. Is it just a regular drill press of some sort?
No. When you get stumped enough, holler.
I think
Somebody has a guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Steve Plum says cutters for a mill.
Yes, he is correct.
Tomas says they're parts for Barbie's wood chipper.
You don't know. It could be.
Wow.
Kevin Grimes says first one is a lathe chuck. The last 2 are thread taps.
No.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
Okay, so explain. Let's go back to the single screen. You can lean in here and I'll get out of the way.
No,
wait,
no worries.
Tim on TikTok.
Yeah.
Colette.
A collet.
Collet.
No. That's not a collet.
He also said an end mill.
He is absolutely correct on
end
that.
mill.
That's an end mill. That
All
is
right,
correct.
I'm going to get out of the
Exactly.
way. Let the fox jump in here.
No, you're
and
good.
just hold it up to the camera and let them see where you're at with that so you can see the camera's right there. Explain what it is you got.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is just basically a basic block of aluminum. And what will happen is this cutter will go into a mill and turn at a certain rate
So
of
that's
speed.
what they call it, an end mill?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what will happen is it'll come down and then it'll make a pass across that surface here, then drop down, make another pass. So that's what this basically is for. It's an end mill. You can, what they call face mill, you can kind of
Tilt it a
cover
little
the
bit so
top
you
of
can
that
see it.
surface.
Tilt it that
Sorry.
way. Now show them.
Okay, so you can go across that surface like
Right.
that, make it flat, and then you, as I said, they call this side milling.
Now,
So you
that
use
was my question. Can it just cut on the end or can it cut sides too? It'll
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
It cuts
okay.
sides.
So you don't got to rotate the aluminum. It'll just do it. It'll cut a side or a top if you want.
Right. What'll happen is the machine, as a machinist, you got X and Y axis, so you can go across
Right.
by X and then Y go this way.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before the age of computers, now you can program it and say just do everything. But before
correct.
then, did you have to reset and recalibrate and manually dial in how much it's going to take off with each pass?
That is correct. Exactly.
Holy shit.
Exactly. And that's what old school wise they had on the mill. They had dials that you read the numbers.
But you
on.
couldn't, if you fucked that up, you got to start over.
Absolutely.
My
Absolutely. Yep. Correct.
And you're
Anyway.
dealing with government stuff. You could almost wasn't good enough for the B-1 bomber.
No, but this was actually when we were building molds. So if we made a mistake,
You
we
throw
had
the
to make
mold
sure-
away.
We,
Yeah.
we had a welder on staff 24 hours a day. They would weld it up and we'd recut it.
Redo it again.
So, but this one here, this end mill here, the reason why I brought this out is because this is what we actually used in aerospace for machining aerospace parts. What happens is there's not a lot of relief.
Bring it up a little. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Not a lot of relief on the sides,
Right.
because if you had too much relief, it would break down the edge. So they had to be ground with very little relief. And this is actually solid
This
carbide.
thing is sharp as a motherfucker too. In my hand, he isn't kidding. If I slid my fingers across this, I'd cut myself. That's how sharp that thing is.
And cutting the aerospace materials, it would only last maybe, I don't know, 10 parts, because that aerospace material is so hard. And basically, we wouldn't use a lot of end mills.
Yeah.
They would either have to burn it or EDM, so because the material was very, very, very hard.
I saw a documentary one time on when Kelly Johnson and your dad were building the SR-71, and you guys, your dad and those guys had to build the machines first.
Correct.
There was no machines
Nope.
to work with this type of metal and these things.
That's correct.
So when Kelly Johnson and your dad's team were first, they had to design what they wanted. Then they had to design all the equipment and the machines to build it.
That's correct.
And they kept, in the very beginning, they kept running into this problem where the metal, the machinists would come back and say, "Here's your part." And your dad and Kelly were like, "But when we're actually assembling this, it's not holding up. It's not working." And they couldn't figure it out. They thought they had impure metals, so they tried to get more pure metals. I don't know. I'm not sure how metallurgically how you break these things down and purify them and bring them back up. But they kept doing that process, and it still wasn't working. And the article got to a point I thought was so funny. And it was one of the guys, I don't know if it was your dad or somebody on his team, as an engineering side, because the machines were built, the machinists were doing their job, the metal guys were doing their job, and nobody could figure out why this metal wasn't as pure as it was supposed to be. You know what they figured out? Somebody figured out the water in Sun Valley and Burbank had impurities in the water that were getting into the metal as they went along in the process, because you submerge it in water or you oil it, but it's in these things, the water part of it, they had to go to the city and go clean up your water, which they did, and then they built these big filtration systems. Then they started the whole process over again, and it fixed it. But it was one of your dad's team that came up with it
Figured
that
it
said
out.
it's
Wow.
the water, because
Wow.
everyone was concentrating on the metal.
Yep.
For the
Yep.
SR-71, going, these things, these are spinning. We're at 70,000 feet. These things are spinning at 30,000 RPM. You've got to get this shit right. It's not holding up.
Right.
And they kept
That's
redoing
correct.
it. They spent like 9 months going, we're stalled. We can't go any further. We're doing everything right. And one of your dad's team figured out, go check the water supply. They just kept backtracking the chain of how these things work.
Sure.
Until
Absolutely.
and I thought that was an amazing find. But
Yeah.
you're talking about machinists. You guys are all fucking weirdos. Okay, you really are.
I think that's the nicest thing you said to me.
Pretty close.
Yeah, okay.
But machinists, they live in a fucking different world. I'll tell you how I know. Okay, and I go to hang a picture on the wall of my house for my wife. I measure the distance. I measure the thing up here. I fucking run a screw into the fucking board, and we're done. It hangs. Machinists. They have to know the curvature of the earth. They have to make sure the stars are aligned. These guys don't hang a picture on a wall without a plumb bob hanging down to making sure. And by God, if the fucking floor isn't aligned with the roof, they start over revealing the wall to get a square wall. Then they can go ahead. I mean, they live in a whole fucking other. You guys live in a whole other world.
Doesn't everybody do that?
No.
Oh,
no,
geez.
we don't.
Oh, okay.
We can take a Milwaukee screw done and be done in half an hour. It takes you 45 minutes to logistically on paper get your math. It's like it's a fucking picture, man, hanging on the goddamn wall. No. I gotta get this right. There's no. Let me help you out. Let me solve a problem for you. Anything you're doing around your house like that for your wife, if it requires math, you're doing it wrong. That's
Why I
it.
never hang a picture because it's never right.
Right, yeah, you can't. St. Donna says, I can't hang a picture, it's not right. And you know what the weird thing is these
notice.
old assholes can tell from a distance
Yes.
if it's not right. They can tell, like, that ain't right. You haven't measured it yet. Don't need to. They live in that world where they look and go, nope. And
I live in that world.
they walk right by it. Yeah, Gen X mom.
Shasta Williams, who has been to the Sun Valley Fox house, to the Foxhole, says, but look at how great his yard and house look.
Oh, he's probably still got
Thank you,
plans.
Shasta.
He's probably still got things written out on napkins while he's at dinner with his wife and he's plotting out the backyard. He probably still has the napkins with the schematics on it. Yeah.
Kevin Grimes says, Plum Bob, any relation to SpongeBob?
I knew someone was going to say that.
Boy, what time is there, Kevin? You've been drinking.
Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles.
Love
on
that guy?
On TikTok.
Yeah.
Says, you remind me of my uncle.
Wait,
Who?
which one of
Which
us?
one?
Who?
I don't know.
It's got to
Can't
be
say.
you. I would not be related to anybody named Pickles. You? Maybe.
Tommy Pickles.
You and Pickles, man. I'm just telling you.
And Wolfie says, most amount of fun I've had in a long time.
Well, good.
Oh, good.
It's a good
Good,
thing.
I'm
All right.
glad.
Let's
All right.
go on to Sunny Point. Oh, no. I
You have to do your tool.
I got to do my thing.
Here
I
we
didn't bring
go.
a tool. No.
Oh.
There is a term in automotive. I'm going to give you two words. It's a term. It's a legitimate thing. And it does have to do with when you design an engine, and especially if you're going to race an engine. There's probably a handful of people that pay attention to this because it's something that now they just do with computers and blow right through it. But do you know, in an engine, can you tell me what the term back pressure velocity is? And I didn't make that up. It's a real thing. What comes to your mind? Back pressure velocity as it relates to automotive.
I'm gonna guess you had a bad night at Taco Bell and it was not good.
And that's the show.
Okay.
After drinking at Taco Bell.
Go on a date with your girl and go, I got to pull over. I got some back pressure velocity building up before we go
Yes.
racing.
I could blow the doors off of this one. Wait, you're not gonna drag that car? Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, sorry. All right.
That's an incorrect
That's not
answer.
it?
That's the buzzer.
Oh, that sounds a pretty good answer to me.
Anybody in the comment section, let's go to them first. Anybody on TikTok?
They're all gonna say it's
Go
Taco
ahead.
Bell.
Gen X mom.
Dr. Shadowlight says the speed at which the exhaust leaves the car cylinder.
What else we got?
Loud One says exhaust flow.
What else you got?
Josh H says maybe exhaust or fuel.
All three are correct. The first two are the most correct. Back pressure velocity.
Oh, wait. We have a girl chiming in.
Great. What now?
Shy. The resistance to the exhaust flow in an engine exhaust system creates a buildup that creates a...
Okay, she just fucking Googled it. She's in the kitchen where she's supposed to be as a woman, a sexist would say.
Yikes!
A sexist would say, and not me.
How come the screen went blank?
YouTube shut us
Yeah,
off.
that's right.
They're run by bitches over there. So. A sexist would say.
Whoa!
No, Shy, not letting you just read it Webster Dictionary. But the back pressure velocity is really simple. Yes, as your exhaust leaves the combustion chamber, piston comes up, fires a spark. We know there's intake. We had the drawing on the board. But as the piston comes up and forces the burned gas, your exhaust, out of the cylinder, and eventually goes out your tailpipe. What a lot of people don't realize when you're designing an engine, there is an actual velocity, a speed at how that exhaust needs to leave. And it actually, a lot of people don't know this, it actually helps draw in the next cycle, as that's leaving, and there's a little bit of valve overlap, and that this piston's coming down. That, if you get the correct vortex of it leaving, it actually improves your combustion. It improves the next round of fuel coming in. How much will get out? Will all the exhaust get out? You don't want all the exhaust in there.
Correct.
On the next stroke, so you got to have it set so the back pressure velocity actually gets rid of all the exhaust out of that cylinder, and that velocity can be measured. And I'll tell you one story on how I knew this. We were at drag strip one time, and there was a guy running a V8 on a motorcycle, which is common, and he had individual exhaust ports in a circle, and the exhaust would come out. It was a small block Chevy. He said the exact order of this coming out, 1843657 was how it fired. And he's sitting there, and he's got a computer on it, and they go do a test run down the track, and he comes back. He takes a saw, and he cut off an inch of all 8 exhaust pipes, all small 8. He cut off an inch and ran it again. Came back, cut off a half an inch, ran it again. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, and I already knew about the term back pressure velocity, but this guy, he says, by cutting this off, I'm relieving it. I'm,
quicker.
Yeah, well, some people say, this is, as a kid, they say, well, I got big headers on my exhaust. I'm running wide open, everything's good. It's like, my thought was, well, then take your exhaust off. Have no manifold at all. Just run it, let it breathe free. Have no exhaust manifold. It'd be loud as a motherfucker.
Right.
But if you really are trying to get it out, just take the exhaust off. And I did that once as a kid. I had a 302 Ford. I took the manifolds off and drove it up the street. Barely ran. Because the restriction helps the flow. That exhaust coming out helped the flow of things. And I was like, holy shit. So I'm learning mechanically what this guy was doing way past me. He was already doing it. He knew how much restriction needed to be to pull that exhaust, and he just kept cutting it off a little bit at a time and running it, and looking at his computer at his info coming out, and he knew exactly. And one time he cut it off, and that thing ran like a striped ape.
Wow.
But he knew not only just the concept of back pressure velocity, that motherfucker knew it all the way past the engineering.
He applied it.
Super smart.
Yeah,
but
he
that's
applied
just
it.
learning that. It was like something people skip over all the time.
Right.
Bigger exhaust is not always better. You can get to a point where you have so big exhaust, you lose the correct formula for your back pressure, and now it runs like shit.
Right.
We get behind, my wife will go, why does that fucking diesel sound so shitty? He's running like 6-inch exhaust. Sounds like a fucking helicopter going down the road.
Correct.
Dipshit. Anyway, go ahead.
YouTube, Kevin Grimes says he must be drinking. Back pressure velocity is what she had in the back seat.
My man.
YouTube, Dog Company Ranger for $5. Next time you guys do show and tell, Sun Valley Fox should bring in EDM wire and explain that process.
The fuck is EDM wire?
Yeah, EDM wire.
Good tip, because now I'm going to go look it up. I'm not getting blindsided again. I'm going to be a smart motherfucker next time.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool machine. Anyway.
YouTube, Loud One, $5. Where it stopped burning is where he cut it. It helped set the pulse length of each exhaust cycle. Lost art right there, General.
Yeah, that sounds right, because that will burn as it goes, too.
Sure.
That's true.
Yep.
And, on a motorcycle, it's not that long of a distance between the engine and the, it's not 14 feet like on a Cadillac.
Correct.
So he knew Loudman's probably right on that. That's probably what he was looking at.
Tim on TikTok again is saying overlap and scavenging.
Yep, that's we talked a little bit about valve overlap, and scavenging is it's the description of how that moves in there. It's true.
Okay.
That's always been one of my go-to things when someone starts talking automotive, and you go to a bar or a party, and some guy's just drunk and talking about how much he knows about cars, and maybe that guy does know more than me. But when you ask him to explain back pressure velocity, they often don't know, and they're like, then shut the fuck up.
It's the combination of fuel and exhaust driving the piston, basically.
Yeah, and how it exits, how it's relieved when it exits.
Correct.
So, yeah, Gen X Mom.
TikTok, Michael wants to know, what's your favorite motor? Do you have a favorite motor?
Is he talking about manufacturer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it. Like you take a 22R 4-cylinder chain-driven cam Toyota, probably the most reliable engine on the planet. That 22R motor, get 1 million miles on it, and you can take it apart if you've maintained it correctly. That Toyota 4-cylinder 22R and 22RE, the fuel-injected version, old school, but just one of the most reliable, best things ever. Land Rover had back in the day an inline 4 that just was indestructible. Never get over 4,000 RPM or so, but you just never see them in machine shops. They just go forever. There's engines like the 4.0 Jeep they used to have was one of the most reliable. They get a little hot in their front cylinder. They didn't have good cooling on the front cylinder on that. But when you can overcome that, the 4.0 was, we worked at the dealership, and for years, it was one of the most durable engines, except a couple little quirks, but my God, could they just produce power and reliability forever. I hate saying this because maybe it's not true anymore, but I love American V8s. I know there's all sorts of weird shit going on these days. The way they're designing them are so fucking retarded with some of the add-on stuff.
Yeah, computers.
Yeah, but even the engine designs. But go think about being a mechanic in the 80s, and you're looking at Toyota, which is just coming on with four cylinders, and they built their self around 4 cylinders, and now they're getting into 6s and stuff, and then eventually Toyota tried to build 8s,
right,
and they all ran into problems. Toyota couldn't build a V8 to save their life. Mazda couldn't build a V6 to save their life without it pinging and stuff. And here we are, as Americans, the big three, we fucking been building V8s for 80 years.
Right.
We fucking know how to do this. It'll be right. We ruined them ourselves with some of the changes we've made for whatever reason.
Right.
But nobody can build a V8 like Americans. You go back to some of the old school, small block Ford, small block Chevy, small block Dodge. I don't care if you're not a Mopar fan or not. You get a 318, a 360 engine, you get a 302, 351s. You go back, of course, in Chevrolet 327s and 350s. Those are some of the most reliable, 1,000 billion of them on the planet,
right,
still running in foreign countries everywhere, and because they'll be rebuilt forever. Things have changed with how they do stuff, but you cannot take away that Americans for the first 80 years could build a V8 better than anybody on the fucking planet. And no one, even Toyota stuff right now, just doesn't have the same power and reliability that the old school stuff did. Regardless if you
Absolutely.
don't like Ford, don't like Chevy.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. That was an American issue for me. Yeah, Gen X mom.
Dr. Chatelain wants to know, what is more reliable, rotary or piston?
Piston. By a lot. I can speak to that because I worked at Mazda. I went to rotary school. I've actually rebuilt rotary engines. So I know what apex seals are like. I got a story about that.
Please do tell us that story.
Well, thank you for asking.
You're welcome. I'm not going to ask again.
It's too late. But so without going into how a rotary engine works, there's some great animated graphics online and how that internally works, and it's just amazing on how that is. But it's a kind of a triangle, and at the end of each triangle is what's called an apex seal, and that is where on a piston engine you have piston rings that have the contact from the piston to the cylinder wall. They wear out.
Right.
In a rotary engine, the apex seal was the part that rubbed between the triangle that was constantly spinning, kind of on an eccentric shaft in a figure-8 formation, but the apex seals would wear out. It got to be, and if I get the years wrong, please forgive me, but at the dealership level, they were having trouble. I actually got 2 stories.
I'm only asking one.
But they're kind of connected, so you get part A and part B.
Stay tuned next week.
So Mazda was having a lot of trouble with them passing smog with the emission standards because the apex seals needed oil injected on them to stay lubricated. Just like you get piston rings, oil comes up underneath and the pistons drag on that, so they get some lubrication that way. Apex seals, there was no crankcase oil to do that, so you actually they had to drip or inject. They had to put oil on that as you went along. Well, when the oil burns as part of the gas, you don't know it as a consumer. You can't see it in the air, but a smog machine would pick it up.
Huh.
And so they were getting ready to discontinue the rotary engines, and I was at a class one time, and they were talking about alternative fuels. Sometimes you can go behind a truck and it smells like fucking popcorn or butter because they're running corn,
Right. The biofuel
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I raised my hand in class, and we were down in Huntington Beach, and I said, So if you can burn that shit, they don't carry this like canola oil. You can just burn, and then, yeah, you could burn that all day. It smells funny, but it doesn't affect the smog.
Right.
I said, well, then why can't you inject that onto the apex seals like a vegetable oil? And all of a sudden, they started integrating that version of an oil into their systems. Like, hey, fuckers, I came up. You're welcome, assholes. That came from some dumb mechanic in Huntington Beach. I just said, can't we do that? And within 3 years, that was like in technical bulletins about they're changing the oil to fit more to do that where the apex seals would work. Here's the other one that has to go along with that. I've told this story before, but it's really funny. I was a lead technician in Las Vegas, and RX8s were having a huge problem overheating. And they said the general manager, actually the ownership of the dealer, with Pat Laverty at the time, his wife was, can't remember her name, she was the mayor of Las Vegas.
Okay.
Jan Jones.
Back then.
Jan Laverty Jones, and he owned the dealership. Anyway, they came and said, Mazda is sending out a team of Japanese people because we're overheating. They're going to be here for 2 weeks running tests in the heat of Vegas. I said, okay, what does that have to do with me? He said, you're assigned to them for 2 weeks. I said, pass. I don't want to talk to these fuckers. And so they showed up, and I had to work with them. And these Japanese guys, they come in with their engineers, they come in with mechanics, and they're all fucking wearing white jumpsuits. You know, I'm strolling with a rag in my back pocket, and they're all doctored up with their face masks, and I go, this is going to be fun. And, of course, they had 2 translators because they didn't speak any English.
Sure.
I'm not speaking Japanese. I mean, I knew Mount Fuji and Mr. Roboto from Styx. That was about my limit. And, Konnichiwa. I could say Konnichiwa pretty good with a redneck hillbilly accent. Anyway, so they're out there, and they're trying to run all these tests on this stuff, and I go, it's like a radiator system's like a pressure cooker. When your wife has a pressure cooker and uses, they increase the pressure, you can change the cooking temperature and how long you cook.
Right.
Their systems, if they up the pressure in an RX8, it was blowing out all the cooling system. And I'm like, well, you gotta up your pressure, make your hoses stronger, make your radiator stronger, make your cap stronger, up the pressure, things run cooler. Of course, these fuckers are like, nah, 15 pounds of pressure is fine. Well, 2 years later, they're now up to 38 pounds of pressure. I said, thanks a lot, fuckers. But here was the funny one. We started getting into it. They started telling me how to take bolts off. And I'm like, I told the translator, I go, tell him to shut the fuck up. And he tells him, and I go, you didn't cuss, did you? He goes, of course not. I said, okay, well, then I'm going to tell him. You tell that guy to fuck off. They understood this, the Japanese guys, and they're mad. And then, they go tell my boss, and he comes out and says, you can't talk to them. I said, they're fucking in my country here.
Right.
You don't want me to work on this shit? I'll go back over to my stall. I didn't want to do this shit anyway. Then, of course, the translator apologizes for me, which I didn't apologize. And here's the one that got them. And all of a sudden, this one stupid thing, a dumb American trick I did, won them over. You're going to get a kick out of this if you haven't heard this story. The one thing we were all arguing about was coolant to water ratio in the radiator system. And they're like, it's got to be at exactly 70% coolant, 30% water. Not 71%.
Right.
Not 69%, 70 fucking percent. I'm like, I personally don't think it matters that much. Okay? I don't care what you say, you're an engineer. But if we're close, we're fine. Right. Your problem is pressure and heat. I don't think it has anything to do with the coolant. As long as we're close. And we got into a big, almost fist fight over it. So we did another test. We did some stuff. I put in the radiator. We're trying different radiators, different water pumps, and I'm working on this thing. And I said, I poured in my mix, 70-30, pretty close. There is a tool, and I forget the name.
Refractometer.
Yeah, where you take a drop of the coolant, see? That machinist brain. I don't fucking know what that is. I never even used one before. We had one at the dealership. I never even picked one up. What the fuck for? It's close enough. I'm good with this. So I fill up the coolant water, run it, and now the guy's had enough of me. The lead technician, he comes over, he's like, and he's screaming at the translator, like, for 30 seconds. The translator goes, he doesn't think it's accurate. I go, that's not what that fucking guy said. He had 700 words there. He goes, well, he doesn't think you're accurate. I go, it's fucking accurate. It's 70%. He can go fuck himself. And, of course, his answer back was 30 words long. I go, just tell him to fuck off. That's all you got to tell him. And because there's not a word for fuck off in Japanese, because that's what you need to hear. So now their technicians and this lead guy are all screaming at me. And basically the translator goes, you never checked it. It's not 70%, and they want it 70%. So I opened up the cap, I stuck my finger in it, and I licked my other finger.
Right.
But I went like this, and I go, 70%. And they all shut up. One guy goes and grabs the, what's it called?
Refractometer.
Yeah. And he puts it on there and holds it up to the sunlight, runs outside, held it up to the sunlight, and this mirror does the thing in there.
That's
and has
correct.
a deal. And the guy comes back and he goes, 70%. I said, fuck off. Now, I got lucky. I'll admit that. I was just done. I mean, it was close. You do your measurements, 3 gallons, 1 gallon. You get it. You're close on that. But God, those guys pissed me off. But when I got it, every one of those motherfuckers went like this. Like, you're the man.
That's right.
That's right. Don't fucking question me. It's some good old American know-how,
That's
motherfucker.
right.
You got to be thanking us for keeping your shit on the road.
Right.
Now, we all good? Every one of them had this amazing respect for me. None of those clowns figured out that I licked the wrong finger and I had no idea what I was doing.
Exactly.
That is a true story, and that was at Freeway Mazda, which is no longer there. In fact, when you go to Vegas, you go to Area 15.
Okay.
That Area 15 is where my dealership was, but the block walls and the gates are all still there.
Huh.
So I could walk out and go. I took my wife there. I said I parked here, and my stall was right there for many years.
Wow.
And, so we worked at Freeway Mazda. True story, or true? It's a story. Yeah.
Wolfie has 2 questions.
Sure.
Why do mechanics charge so much to open a trans and adjust the clutch when it can be done in home garage?
Do it in your fucking garage.
Why are you looking at me?
You're the one who said it.
Okay, he also wants to know, what do we do when all cars become electric? Start walking.
Yeah, you're gonna drive an electric fucking car. I'm not against electric cars. They're fast. They're powerful. I don't care. Just don't make me buy one. That should be my choice.
Right.
That's all
exactly.
I'm saying.
Well, I like gas vehicles because I'm trying to use up as much gas as I can to deplete all the gas.
Save the planet.
Save the planet. That's what I'm trying to do.
Sun Valley Fox had a thought too when he was down. I saw him down in northern Nevada one time, and he was out there protesting, and he was encouraging people to pave parking lots and pave fields over. And they're like, "No, you're ruining the environment." Sun Valley Fox out there screaming, he said, "No, I'm sealing in the nutrients, man."
That's correct.
Pay over that. I'm doing this. I'm doing Nevada a favor here, and they couldn't see it their way.
Absolutely.
I became a fan of the Sun Valley Fox at that very moment. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Ash wants to know, do you know why GM did the Dex Cool crap?
Yeah, the Dex Cool was for aluminum radiators because if you ran regular coolant in there, you would deteriorate. Plus, you can get voltage inside of a radiator. I've taken a voltmeter and gotten voltage because of electrolysis. The Dex Cool was designed to eliminate that and change it. So it wasn't a bad move at all. But let me go back to your other question. This is kind of a long answer. I was actually going to save this for a podcast. When someone said, why do mechanics charge so much for something so simple?
Okay.
So let's say I'm changing out a starter on a 1991 Dodge Colt 4-cylinder. And the book time says I'm allowed to charge a customer $100. So it'll take me an hour. All right. But it's a very difficult job to do. It takes me 6 hours to do it. Can I go to the guy and say, look, it took me 6 hours, pay me $600? Customer would say, fuck you. You said that job's supposed to take an hour. I don't care how long it took you. I don't care if it took you 6 hours. The book time's $100, you get 1 hour, and that's it. You're getting you fucking fuck you. All right. Well, the next 2 or 3 I do, and it didn't take me 6 hours, it takes me 5. Next few I do, it takes me 4 hours. I'm getting better at it.
Right.
I'm buying tools that are expensive, but they fit and make my job easier.
Correct.
By the time I've done a couple hundred of these, maybe now I can do one in 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Right.
I have trained, I have bought tools, I have suffered, I have tried, and I've run at a loss.
Right.
But now I get up and I do one in half an hour, and the customer says, well, why are you charging me $100? You did it in half an hour. Well, it says $100. I get paid that hour. No, you took half an hour. Hey, just because if you can do it for less, you should charge less. And I'd say, well, what about when it takes me longer? Are you willing to pay more? No. It's a very one-way street with customers and how they think about that.
Sure.
But you have to train, you have to learn, you have to do until you get fast enough where you can beat book time and actually start making some money and take home a paycheck for your family.
Sure.
But as soon as you get faster, customer always says, well, I want it for less. Mm-hmm. They say, all you have to do is hook up your scan tool and reprogram something, and you're charging me $250. Well, the scan tool's $3,000. I have to pay a yearly subscription of $2,000 or $3,000 to Ford every year to get their program to put it in your car.
Correct.
But it only takes you a few minutes. Yeah, but I'm fucking holding $7,000 worth of shit to do your 10-minute job.
Right.
Yeah, you're paying for it.
Yep.
They don't like that, and I'm telling you, it's an age-old discussion on mechanic versus customer on what they're willing to pay for. If it takes you a long time, that's my fucking problem as a mechanic. If I do it quicker, they demand, they want a discount.
Right.
They don't understand. I can't tell you. You can size customers up real quick, and I know when a professional customer walks in and they're sizing up the job, and if that job takes me 3 hours and I'm done in an hour, I'll fucking go in the break room and sit for 2 hours, or I'll start working on something else. I could let you out of there early, but you'll start bitching and complaining. So guess what? Your
So it
motherfucking
sits
ass.
for 3.
Yeah, you're gonna sit for 3 hours, a
That's
full 3
right.
hours, and then I'm gonna walk up washing my hands, going, "It's all done." But that's the lengths that you fuckers put us into because you're one-way thinkers, all of you.
That's true. Yeah. To piggyback on that coolant that you were talking about, licking, what we used to do too, to the young kids that were coming up, they'd come up to me and go, "Can you tell me what this material is?" So I'd go, "That's aluminum 6061 T6," and they'd be going, "How did you do that?" But yeah,
There's all sorts of tricks that we used to do to kids like that.
That was fun.
You do shit like that. They look at you for a second and go, is that
he really
real?
do that?
Did he do that? Yeah.
I go, "Try it."
You can't taste the 6061 in that? Or
Yeah, or
whatever?
is it a T6? Oh yeah, I missed that part.
Yeah, that does have a little T6 in it. We're good there. So, anything
anyway.
else in the sheets? Are we getting close to wrapping it up?
We're getting close to wrapping up.
I don't know how long we've been on.
Over an hour. Shy says the Sun Valley Fox being a special guest is such a treat on this fine Saturday. 2 handsome gentlemen on a stream. How will the harem survive?
Well,
Did Shy Google that?
no, that was from the heart, baby. That was one from the heart. She just was all heart with that
Wow,
one.
thanks, Shy.
Dr. Johan says, this is the reason why I'm a fan of the General. Always learn something new. Appreciate you, sir.
Hey, we're not
Nice.
going real deep on stuff, but we just talk about things in a literal sense so you guys can be part of it too. And to tell you the truth, what we're kind of turned on the cameras for and set this table up, this is the kind of shit the Sun Valley Fox and I do all the time anyway. We talk about things and stories that we did and places we went. I really wish we could just have a camera running all the time because you fuckers would find some of this hilarious. The shit that we got into and got
That's
out
true.
of. It's just fun, but it's nothing but life. We have the benefit. We have the benefit of not only being related, but we had the benefit of we grew up in the same area, just a decade apart. He's a little older than me. His sister is why we're here. Your queen, that's his baby sister, and the benefit is that we talk about the same stories and things we did. He was in the same places just a decade. I was doing it in the 80s. He was doing it in the 70s.
Right.
So it's not just that you did the same things and you had the same cars and you had the same memories. We're in the same spot. We remember the same people, the same owners, the same buildings, the same restaurants, the same streets and driveways and stuff. And it was with little changes, of course, along the way. But that brings it more connected. It makes the stories more fun.
Right.
And I just think I really wish you guys could be part of more of those conversations, but we just can't run around with a GoPro on our helmets all the time.
God forbid.
Whoa!
Oh, sorry.
Whoa! What was that?
Wow.
I'm like, here we go.
All right, so listen, I think we're just about done in here. Let me find the off button. We've got to thank you guys. Sun Valley Fox, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
It was a pleasure.
It was a lot of fun.
Went by fast.
We didn't even get to this one. I'll
Uh-oh.
save that for next time.
Okay. And I'll
Another tool.
bring something else out. I don't know what. but
Yeah,
I'll bring
we'll
it.
find
I don't
something.
know.
You got a whole garage full of stuff. This is actually the Foxhole Studios in Minden, Nevada. This is actually the garage show. I'm actually the general with the Sun Valley Fox. Thank you for Gen X Mom running the sheets over there, and St. Donna.
Thank you.
St. Donna for 2 reasons. One, for chiming in a little bit, but also keeping the dog fucking quiet for the most part. That was great.
Or tearing up the cable.
Or tearing up the cable. Yeah, doing that. Listen, thank you guys. It's an impromptu show. Catch it on a rerun after we sign out, but thank you guys for tuning in on a Saturday morning or mid-morning, wherever you are. Remember 2 things in life. Number 1, wherever you go, there you are. Number 2, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm out, baby.
Bye.